Good morning, dear students. Best of luck for your annual examination. Now we will revise the chapter 18th century political formation. Come on, the first subtopic here, Awadh. Dear student, you know that Burhan ul Mulk Saadat Khan was appointed Subedar of Awadh in 1722 and founded a state which one which was one of the most important to emerge out of the break of the Mughal Empire. Awadh was a prosperous region controlling the alluvial Ganga plain and the main trade route between North India and Bengal. Burhan ul Mulk also held the combined offices of Subedari, Diwani, and Faujdari. Understand? In other words, we can say it, he was responsible for managing the political, financial, and military affairs of the province of Awadh. Burhan ul Mulk tried to decrease Mughal influence in Awadh region by reducing the number of office holders, Jagirdars, appointed by the Mughals. He also reduced the size of Jagirs and appointed his own loyal servants. Understand? He appointed his own loyal servants to vacant positions. The accounts of Jagirdars were checked to prevent cheating, and the revenues of all districts were assessed by officials appointed by the Nawab's court. Understand? Dear student, you know that the state depended on local bankers and mahajans for loans. It sold the right to collect tax to the highest bidders. These revenue farmers, Izradars, agreed to pay the state a fixed sum of money. Understand? Fixed sum of money. The revenue farmers were given considerable freedom in the assessment and collection of taxes. These developments allowed new social groups like moneylenders and bankers to influence the management of the state revenue system, something which had not occurred in the past. The next subtopic is Bengal. Bengal gradually broke away from Mughal control under Murshid Quli Khan, who was appointed as the Nab, means deputy of the governor of the province. Although never a formal Subedar, Murshid Quli Khan very quickly seized all the power that went with the office. Like the rulers of Hyderabad and Awadh, he also commanded the revenue administration of the state. In an effort to reduce Mughal influence in Bengal, he transferred all Mughal Jagirdars to Odisha and ordered a major reassessment of the revenues of Bengal. Revenue was collected on that time in cash with great strictness from all jamindars. As a result, what had happened? Many jamindars had to borrow money from bankers and money lenders. Those unable to pay were forced to sell their lands to larger zamindar. Afterward, the close connection between the state and bankers noticeable in Hyderabad and Awadh as well as as well was evident in Bengal under the Alivardi Khan, under the rule of Alivardi Khan 1740 to 1761. During his reign, the banking house of Jagat Seth became extremely prosperous. Understand? Afterward, Mughal nobles, they were highly suspicious of some of the administrative systems that they had inherited, in particular the Jagirdari system. Second, their method of tax collection differed. Rather than relying upon the officers of the state, all three regimes contracted with revenue farmers for the collection of revenue. Understand? The practice of ijradari, truly disapproved of by the Mughals, spread all over India in the 18th century. Understand? So, afterward we know that these people lent money to revenue farmers, received land. Sorry, I am going to connect. Mughals spread all over India in the 18th century. Their impact on the countryside differed considerably. Their impact, the third common feature we know that in all these regional states was their emerging relationship with rich bankers and merchants. These people lent money to revenue farmers, received land as a security, and collected taxes from these lands through their own agents. Throughout India, the richest merchants and bankers were gaining a stake in a great profit in the political order. The next subtopic is the Vatan Jagirs of the Rajputs. Many Rajputs kings, particularly those belonging to Amber and Jodhpur in Rajasthan, had served under the Mughals with distinction, and in exchange they were permitted to enjoy considerable autonomy in their Vatan Jagirs. In the 18th century, these rulers were attempted to extend their control over adjacent regions. Ajit Singh, the ruler of Jodhpur, was also involved in the factional, we can say that, factional politics at the Mughal court. Understand? So, afterward we know that these influential Rajput families claimed of Subedari of the rich provinces of Gujarat and Malwa. Raja Ajit Singh of Jodhpur held the governorship of Gujarat, and Savai Raja Singh of Amber was governor of Malwa. These offices were renewed by Emperor Jahandar Shah in 1713. They also tried to extend their territories by seizing portions of imperial territories neighboring their watans. Dear student, you know that Nagpur was conquered and annexed to the house of Jodhpur, while Amber seized large portion of Bundi. Savai Raja Jai Singh founded his new capital at Jaipur and was given the Subedari of Agra in 1722. Maratha campaigns into Rajasthan from the 1740 put severe pressure on these principalities and check their further expansion. Understand? So Raja Jai Singh of Jaipur, a description we know about him in a Persian account of 1732. Raja Jai Singh was the heights of his power. He was the governor of Agra for 12 years and of Malwa for 5 or 6 years. He possessed a large army, artillery, and great wealth. His sway extended from Delhi to the banks of the Narmada. So I hope that you have understood these subtopics. Thanks for watching the video. Thank you.